Welcome back to episode 31 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Melo here, live from Dodger Stadium. I know you can't see, but hey, I'm outside. I'm at Dodger Stadium. Matt is here. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We're winding down here in the baseball season, but there's not a lot of things I love more in life than playoff baseball. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah, and after what the Phillies, I know they were they fell 2 games short, but you got pretty far last year, and I could see why you enjoy postseason baseball. I forgot what it was like last year to know what good playoff baseball was like.
Dodgers fans still salty with the Padres.
I mean, first of all, they're like 1,000 games out of first place, and they have to scratch and claw to get every win possible.
Fair.
So, we got bigger things to worry about right now.
That's true. Um, so what are we gonna be talking about this episode?
So today we got a couple topics. First, who will be the American League runner-up for MVP? Because we obviously know who's going to win it, and if you don't, then we might need to have a conversation. Secondly, is the Yankee season done? I like how Matt chose to do this when I was here, not with Kyle, because I think you're gonna get two different perspectives. And lastly, again, we don't want to talk about this. Wander Franco update. It doesn't look like he's gonna be playing another game in Major League Baseball, at least anytime soon.
Does not. Yeah, let's just dive into it right off the top. Okay, as you said, if you don't have Shohei Ohtani as MVP, or you don't know that he's American League MVP this year, either you haven't been following baseball at all, or I honestly don't know. That's the only excuse I can have, because he's clearly the American League MVP. Now, there's a second tier, couple guys who come to mind. Um, Corey Seager, your former guy from LA there. Now he's out in Texas. He's been putting up a great season. He's missed some games. That would be definitely a detractor for him. But the numbers that he has as a left-handed hitter playing shortstop is insane. Um, and people had said this is going to happen once the shift gets banned, and they were right. So maybe the Dodgers should have held on to him for a few more seasons. Anyway,
Not
uh,
for that number.
we also got Kyle Tucker staying in the AL West, who has been putting up an MVP caliber season. And I think right now, if Shohei Ohtani, ceased to exist this year, or the Monstars took his powers, whatever you want to say here, I think that Kyle Tucker would probably win AL MVP. But there's a case to be made for Seager, and then also there hasn't been very many bright spots for the Chicago White Sox this year. Um, Luis Robert Jr. has been one of them. So there's a case that could be made for all of them. I'll pull up their stats here in a second, but off the bat, what are you feeling?
Obviously, you just mentioned it. Shohei Ohtani is the clear winner in the American League. If you don't agree with that, then just something's wrong with you, or you just don't like Shohei Ohtani. It's simple as that. Secondly, I'm glad you mentioned the shift with Corey Seager because he was one of those guys that when we found out that the shift was getting banned and it was no more, that was one of the players that we felt like that was going to benefit very much. And so far he has. Now I can say that for a lot of guys, but Seager just listen, I'm not watching Ranger games every night, but just seeing highlights on YouTube or on my phone, dude's ripping the ball every night. In a big ballpark like that in Texas, that makes it more impressive. Kyle Tucker, another. Listen, I'm left-handed. I swing the bat left-handed. I love my lefties when they're performing great like this. Makes us feel good. It makes us look. Lefties are better than righties. Let's just say that. But you know, I think And I know you mentioned it that Corey Seager has had some injuries he's had to deal with, which he's kind of had to deal with that his whole career, even with the Dodgers. I really think he's your runner up. I really think he is. I know there's a case that can be also made. You just mentioned it for Luis Robert Jr. I understand it's the big leagues, but he's kind of doing that on a, you know, kind of a bad team. Nothing to play for.
True.
I'm not saying it's not impressive. I'm not saying it's not a good season. I'm not saying that. But I just think what Corey Seager is doing in a pennant race right now, they're in first place, just makes it more impressive.
Definitely. Corey Seager's numbers on the season. This is through 78 games played. As a comparison, Kyle Tucker's at 120 and Luis Robert Jr. is at 115. But anyway, Corey Seager, a 5.3 baseball reference WAR. That is very impressive. That is a considerable amount. 32 doubles on the season, 22 home runs for 73 runs batted in, a 348 batting average, which leads the American League, a 411 on base percentage, a 661 slugging percentage, and a 1.72 OPS. Those are some pretty damn good numbers right there. OPS plus 189. That's insane. So a case can be made. Yeah, he hasn't played as much, but guess what? That sort of makes the 22 home runs and the 5.3 WAR that much more impressive. Not to mention, you said about Luis Robert playing on a bad team being a sort of a minus on his side. I think it works in the opposite way too. Corey Seager leading his team to first in the division as of right now, and possibly a AL West championship. I think that the Baseball Writers Association, or whoever votes on the MVPs, I think that they typically sort of take those things into account a little bit more. And they're going to say, hey, you led the Rangers to first place, at least took them out of fourth place that they were in last year, or third, wherever they finished. And now they're in a playoff spot. So I think that they'll definitely value that a lot more. But yeah, you said you think Corey Seager second.
I think Corey Seager second, and I understand. And listen, I know people are going to say, well, Shohei Ohtani's on a bad team with the Angels, and he's going to win. But White Sox have been bad all season. Angels, within the last 2 weeks, just completely fell off the cliff because they were playing somewhat decent baseball the first half. I know they had their low points too, but I really think Corey Seager is the second best player in the American League. And he still has a month and a half left to prove it.
Yeah. His numbers are ridiculous. Kyle Tucker, though, 120 games played, 29 doubles, 24 home runs, leads the American League in RBIs with 92. Hitting 297 on the season, 377 on base, 526 slugging, 903 OPS. So all of those numbers a little bit lower than Corey Seager, but, across more games too. And then finally, Luis Robert Jr., 115 games played, 30 doubles, 32 home runs, only 66 RBIs. A lot of that is his teammates. Hitting 273 on the season, so a little bit lower. 328, 567 slugging, 894 OPS, so a 4.9 baseball reference WAR. So obviously his numbers have, I don't want to say fallen off, but they haven't been quite as good as of recently. But definitely there in the halfway mark of the season, he's definitely a top 5 now, but he was probably even second, maybe third then as well. So I think personally, if I had to say right now, I'd go Ohtani, obviously 1, Seager 2, Kyle Tucker 3, Luis Robert 4. I mean, and from there on, I'm sure there's a bunch of players that could make cases after that, but I think we got the same then, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's. I was just about to ask you too. What's your top three gonna look like? And we hit it right on the head. We're in agreements. In agreements.
Yeah, and this is sort of also just a testament to Shohei Ohtani because how often do you hear media talking about who finishes second in an MVP category? We're just that bored with Shohei Ohtani that we have to talk about who's going to finish second in MVP, which is funny. It's crazy to think of, and uh, we can have a case about and talk about NL MVP later too in another episode because uh, the gap could be getting closed here. Yeah, your guy, Freddie Freeman, he's
Which
making it
one?
tough. Well, okay, Mookie Betts too. I'm pretty sure the top four is going to be two Braves and two Dodgers, if I had to guess. But we'll save that for another day. Um, next topic though, we should have Kyle on for this, but
I'll speak for him.
there you go.
It.
Are they dead? Are the Yankees dead, Melo?
I think they are. I tried. Because I tried to give the Yankees the benefit of the doubt because I know things have changed, but this roster was able to get to the league championship series last year. And they have guys, Judge. Now, listen, it's crazy. And I'm not saying this is when it happened, but the minute Judge went down here in LA, changed everything. It really changed everything. They still took 2 out of 3 from LA, from my team. But the Yankees just were never the same after that. And they've been playing bad for the last year. I'm not just saying, remember the first half of last season, they were projected to win 110 games. They were on a historic pace, and then it slowed down, and they've been playing bad baseball ever since. So I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But this goes back to the conversation we had on Monday with Boston. I just think there's better teams in the American League. Tampa, Toronto, Houston, and Texas, they could flip. And then Seattle. I see those guys. That's where it ends for me. Right when I'm looking at the standings right now, after Seattle, to me, that's where it ends. I'm not saying the Red Sox can't get in or even the Yankees, but I just think those are the better teams. And I saw a stat yesterday. What the Yankees had, this is the farthest into the season they've been below 500 in like 30 years. That's insane.
Yeah.
Which I know, the Yankees are not the most popular team in baseball for obvious reasons. That's pretty damn impressive. And I know no Yankee fan wants to hear that right now. Oh, we should reflect and be grateful for the last 30 years. They want to win now. They haven't won a World
Yeah.
Series since 2009. They haven't been to the Fall Classic since 2009. So I think they're done. Can they still make it? Yes, but even if they get in, what does it mean? Okay, great. We make it in, and then we'll get bounced in the wild card round. Okay, was it worth it? I don't think so.
Yeah. Currently, they're 6.5 games out of the American League wild card. And I don't know that we really want to bring up the American League East, but they're in last place, 14 games back of the Baltimore Orioles. Now, just as a comparison in the National League, there's no teams that are 6.5 games back, but the Yankees' little brother, the New York Mets, they're 7.5 games back. And everybody universally says that the Mets season is completely done. Now, granted, the Mets are 10 games below 500 right now, and the Yankees are only 1. So a bit of a difference there in record, but in terms of
And here, sorry to interrupt you, but here's the difference with the Mets too. The Mets at the deadline said we're waving the white flag on this season, and we're waving the white flag on potentially the next 2 years. That's the difference. The Yankees, I don't want to say they lied to themselves, but I think they told themselves, you know what, we got to at least go for it, at least try it. Now, they didn't make any crazy moves at the deadline, but the Mets at least were able to be straight up with themselves and be straight up with the fans. Maybe don't tell Max Scherzer that, but at least they know we're bad and we're selling for the future. That's not what the Yankees did. There's a lot of guys they could have sold off and could have been big pieces somewhere else. They didn't want to do that, and it's kind of backfiring, kind of not, but they're just not a good team. And if
No.
Kyle was here, I think he'd agree with that too.
Oh, definitely. And Kyle and I have talked about it before on the podcast that the way this roster is constructed it just doesn't make sense. Other than Aaron Judge, you can't name me three pieces that you like, three position players that you like on the squad. Okay. Because Garrett Cole, obviously, yeah, you love that. I mean, let's just go to the pitching side. You love Garrett Cole. All right. He's having debatably a Cy Young season. See if he can get it this year, actually. I'm not sure he will. I'm not sure. But there's a case. But then you're supposed to be number two, not Frankie Montas. Jeez, Matt. Carlos Rodon.
I mean, Jesus.
He's pitched in like
I'm messing
2
up
games.
Too.
And then he's been bad. He's been pretty bad. Nestor Cortez has not been
just came back.
Year. Yeah, hasn't been good this year. Frankie Montas, now I can mention him. Where has he been? I don't think he's made 5 starts for the Yankees in his career since he got traded last trade deadline. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. That's just a guess. Who else am I missing from the rotation?
Domingo Germán. He's having problems of his own.
That's correct.
Luis Severino has been shit.
Yeah. I mean, Montas hasn't played for them at all this season. He pitched in 8 games last year. And
then I know they don't score any damn runs either.
Yeah, exactly.
The Yankee lineup is so easy. This is the thing. This is what opposing teams do every night when they see the Yankees. We're going to pitch around Aaron Judge. If he gets on base, great. If he can't run anyway, so he's not going to steal any damn bases. Or he's not getting home. And if he doesn't get on base and we strike him out or get him out, that's even an A+. And then you can just pitch to everybody else because they're not going to do anything.
No.
This is a home run or bust lineup. If we don't have a lead or if we don't hit home runs, we are not winning a game. It is simple as that.
And too many of them at this point are past their prime, are injury prone, or I guess past their prime, but they're just bad at this point. Whose bright idea was it to bring in, I think he's got to be like 36 or 37, Josh Donaldson in and say, hey, here's our starting third baseman for the New York Yankees. Like, that just doesn't make sense, all right? Giancarlo Stanton is not the person he used to be, not the player he used to be, that's for sure. He has his moments where he still smokes balls out of the ballpark, but still, I mean, his strikeouts are ugly. That clip that was circling social media last week where he just jogged into home, because he's such a liability on the base paths. And in the outfield, he's not fantastic either. So, and that's when he's playing, not to mention. There's too many days where he doesn't play anyway, but Let me ask
you, is that the worst contract in the sport right now?
Patrick Corbin would like a word, possibly, but yes.
Anthony Rendon, another word.
Rendon, 100%.
Strasburg
got them the World Series.
True,
but other than that, I'll take one victory lap here real quick. I believe we were talking about the Yankees rotation earlier, like before the season, and lining up the names and saying how good it's going to be. And I'm not sure if it was being recorded at the time or not. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it is. We can go back in the archives. And I said I would take the Phillies rotation any day. Oh boy, do I feel great about that take right now. The Phillies debatably had the best rotation in baseball. Obviously bringing in Michael Lorenzen was a huge plus. Threw the no-hitter, for Pete's sake, okay? I feel pretty good with that take. Just saying. Just had to put that out there.
Take your victory lap, Matt. Go for it. Take your victory lap.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna take it another lap too. I mean, give me the Texas Rangers for 90 wins. I think. I
Yeah, you
believe I
called
said
that
that.
one. You called that one. I remember doing that. I almost spit out my drink when I heard that. We were wrong on that one. So yeah, you're two
It's
for
gonna
two.
be.
You've made up for saying the Mariners were going to be in first place last year and dragging me into it. You really made up for that.
I did. Um, I think it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna have to make a podcast, maybe even dedicate a whole episode to looking back at some of our best and worst takes from before or early in the season.
We'll do that at
'Cause
the end of the season.
yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. Make some good clips out of that too. But anyway, I really debated having another topic after this because I didn't want to end on this note because I don't think it's great to end on a negative note. But not really a whole lot to talk about, and this was debatably the biggest topic across Major League Baseball right now, and for all the wrong reasons. Wander Franco, he's been a super prospect. They called him up, and obviously they called him up. He's been up for a while and signed him to the biggest contract in Rays history. And now, obviously, these allegations and investigations coming out against him that he's been in an inappropriate relationship, with an underage girl. Terrible stuff. You don't want to hear that at all. It's gotten worse though, because reports are coming out now that a source close to the situation is saying he may never play Major League Baseball again.
Yeah, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And at what point, and I'm not pushing the Rays, or you know, I'm not getting on them for, still having them on the roster. But at what point is it like, hey, dude, like we've heard enough. Like we gotta cut bait. Like we gotta save ourselves here. But it's just, I said this on Monday. I'm gonna say it again. It's just so unfortunate. It's like, and it's a headache for everybody. It's a headache for the players. I'm sure it's a headache for Major League Baseball because they don't want to deal with this. We're 6 weeks away from the postseason, the biggest month in the sport, and then they gotta have this stuff with the Wander Franco situation. They gotta get this stuff and figure it out. And I don't know if they will, but at what point does Major League Baseball say, you know what, we've seen enough. Here's the suspension. We're sorry. I don't know when that's coming. I do want Major League Baseball to get it right. That's the important thing. Get it right. Because if there's false allegations or it's not true, we need to figure that stuff out. But I really wanted to give Wander Franco the benefit of the doubt when it first came out last week. But just as the days go by and the more reports you read, the more stuff you read, it is really hard to envision him playing Major League Baseball again. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I will draw a comparison strictly on how Major League Baseball handled it. I'm not saying these situations are alike otherwise. Trevor Bauer, just 2 years ago, I think it was now, whenever it was, obviously his whole situation. And in the end, he got found innocent by the judicial, whoever the judge, whatever it was, jury. Either way, he got found innocent. Major League Baseball said, we stand independent of that. We decided to suspend you anyway. And guess what? His suspension's over. He's not back in Major League Baseball anyway. And I mean, who knows for what reasons? I think a lot of it is because people don't like him as a person. It sure seems that way. Now, he hasn't been pitching, from what I understand, very well over in Korea or Japan. I think it's Japan.
Yeah.
So who knows if there was something that teams didn't like there on the baseball side of it, but I think a lot of it lied with the human side. So could we see the same thing here? Let's say he gets found innocent, Wander Franco. It doesn't seem very likely at this point, but even if he does, I know he's 22 and a star, but like teams are a lot less likely. Trevor Bauer won a Cy Young. People aren't people aren't signing him. People weren't rushing to sign him. So I don't want to say it's the same. It's the same situation. I think there's some similarities to be drawn there, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna see Juan Franco in Major League Baseball again.
Yeah, and if I'm with you, and if he does get welcome back, I'm sure it's not gonna be. I'm sure the Rays and I'm sure Major League Baseball is not gonna welcome him back with open arms right away. It's gonna take
No.
a lot of stuff to just probably have him back in the clubhouse.
Yeah, like I know I said this on Monday. It's one thing to cheat, like using steroids, anything like that, sticky tack or not sticky tack, spider tack, whatever you want to say. It's a whole other thing to break the law and do something illegal. So you're going to be treated differently. So who knows if we'll see him again. Hopefully the situation gets resolved correctly, whether that's in Juan Franco getting punished or the person making the allegations punished. Depends who's right and who's wrong. But yeah, unfortunate situation, like we said. Hey, you got anything else you really want to add on this?
No, I'm done with this conversation, but just to kind of close things on a lighter note, this Saturday at Dodger Stadium, they play the Marlins. LeBron James bobblehead. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a LeBron James bobblehead. I know a lot of Dodger fans don't like it, so screw you. I hope you get one on Saturday, and I hope you come out here. And if not, if you don't want them, I'll take them because I'm getting one, but I'll gladly take more. But
So is it Lakers night or LeBron
no,
night?
it's LeBron bobblehead night. It's not Lakers night. Lakers night is not until September 1st. So this is all LeBron. So I'm gonna come into work with my LeBron jersey, maybe the headband. We'll see how that goes. But
There we go. You know what I would love to see? And I don't know if the Dodgers are very, I don't know what they do in terms of their scoreboard, especially after a home run or something. I'd like to see them, let's say Freddie or Mookie launches a home run. I'd like to see them play the LeBron James. Come on, man. That's too easy clip on the scoreboard after somebody hits a home run. I think that'd be a fun touch. But
I would like that. I would like that. I that's a great idea. See, the Dodgers should hire you, Matt.
that's right. I got all kinds of great ideas. Trade all your best players to the Phillies. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I think that's gonna be everything for episode 31 here. So we'll talk to you again on Monday. See you later.
Adios.